morning, our morning show. First, there are three main things that are point-wise we have to look at, because it's no longer a case of likes and dislikes or choice. Okay, you have some policy issues here, and the three policies that are very important in the 2020 elections. Firstly, about India, because we are Indians, and this is mainly for the Indian Americans to think about. Joe Biden has come out with, that is a Democratic candidate, presidential candidate, has come out with a big paper on what he is going to do with India. So none of it is pleasant. I will get into that. First, the position of Joe Biden regarding India, what he is going to do. Already India is precarious position, both internally and externally. You must remember the protests were violent from day one. When Modi and Trump had that rally, the riots broke out in Delhi. Along the same lines, like minorities instigating the riots, setting the town to fire. So, to give a signal. And then the riots spread to other areas, mainly in Delhi. And it was done by an Islamic extremist group, and all the probe has come out and prosecutions have started. So India has an independent judiciary. You must keep all that in mind. So you cannot keep on politicizing everything, then nothing is possible. So the riots are predominantly done by Islamist groups who are angry against both Modi, because he was doing a Citizenship Amendment Act, as well as Trump's. They timed it to Trump so that world attention will be brought to it. So just like in Washington. So first you must keep it in mind. That is, the internal condition of India was already somewhat like what you saw in America in these preceding weeks of protests along the same line. That is the minority issue of rights, and then it turned wild, which is where you have to think, okay, whether it is really about rights or certain vested interest groups are actually joining with those radical elements, endorsing them, encouraging them, cheerleading them, so that they will have a political windfall. They can reap the harvest of their votes. This is the main idea. So that you have to note down. It starts here. And soon upon, a pandemic or a plague was unleashed. And you can clearly see that needs investigation, because everybody has suffered. In America alone, has suffered something like $7 trillion in this shutdown. Massive hit. Imagine a country like India struggling in there, how much economic shock it would have taken, suffered. So a country from where it came had to open up its files, open up its facilities for international inspection. So 100 countries have already, that is the majority vote in the UN, United Nations, have asked for a probe, leading with Australia. And India also subsequently supported. India didn't initially want to do that. It was downplaying. And then only fighting the fire, but they didn't ask for where and how the fire broke, because it doesn't happen again. This is from a memo, remember that. So the second point to notice, China, which is that China not only unleashed the plague, it didn't stop there. It also didn't warn up. It also didn't reveal the facts. It compounded the problem. It plunged the whole country, the whole world into some real, to the brink. Devastation has occurred. So this is a time when somebody who is going to run America should review his policy lines with China, not do more of the same. Now here, if you look at Joe Biden's policy statement, he is not only saying do more of the same, he is actually saying that he will in fact help China. And at a time when China is threatening every democracy in the world, not just India. It is threatening Taiwan. It is crushing democratic rights in Hong Kong, which is a democracy. They had an agreement, it's breaking it. It is imposing draconian laws there. And there, he must be standing with the protesters. He's not doing that. And endorsing China's actions. You can go and see the policy framework of Joe Biden is horrifically pro-China. It will only help China not only get away from this accountability. If you're not going to probe, you're not going to know. If you're not going to know, you're not going to ask questions. If you're not going to ask questions, China is not going to be accountable, and it will repeat it again, because it now knows that it can get away with it. That is the first thing. Second thing, whether we will come out of this. and whether China shows any repentance, any remorse regarding what it has done to the world. If you look at that, China is unrepentant. It is actually stepping down on the gas pedal. It is actually becoming more expansionist, more aggressive, starts border dispute in a dozen countries, starting from Taiwan's airspace. On every single day, it is sending its jet fighters, violating the airspace, destabilizing the area. It is doing that same. It is laying claims to an island in Japan. And it is suddenly starting administrative districts in uninhabited artificial islands that it created, violating international maritime laws. If this is in expansionism, what is? Then it is also claiming Galwan Valley along the Indian border. It starts at 10 different places, refuses to vacate one, and lays whole claim to what has clearly been agreed upon by it in an earlier agreement in 2015. Again in 2008. It has done so many agreements. It is breaking that it will maintain status quo. It is now changing unilaterally the status quo, which is actually aggression. And on top of it, it is doing a military build-up. At this time, a presidential candidate issuing a policy statement as well as a press statement saying that instead of talking about its aggressions, he is talking about India in the bad light. He is saying India is doing serious things, which means it is very serious for whom? For China, of course. And then serious things, and we should do something against India. So this is an anti-Indian presidential candidate with absurd, awesomely ignorant views. He is not aware of what is going on in the world. He is not aware of what is going on in the region. He is not aware of what is going on in the South China Sea, East China Sea, in South Asia. And he is not aware that China has repeated it in an earlier pandemic and is in need of a probe and not support. This is a walking disaster of a presidential candidate. And he is so forgetful. He remembers nothing. And this kind of aging, dotting, senile demented, he is suffering from senile dementia. It's obvious. He is having memory losses. He is dyslexic. He is having what they call as dysphagia. He is having all this and wonderful qualities of it. And they ask him how old you are. Can you see that? Can you understand that you're maybe the oldest candidate ever seeking office? He says Winston Churchill. How about Winston Churchill? Was he ever American president? And with this kind of intelligence, with this kind of depth, with this kind of views, you are going to hand it over. This is the second point, China. So first we have the India position, then you have the world position in both cases, and third comes Pakistan. He says that Pakistan must be supported. For what? For restarting all that in the previous administration have degraded Pakistan to a manageable extent. He says that it must be armed to the teeth probably. And with these ideas, we can see where all this, one side China, and the other side Bin Laden's hideout. He is supportive of that. Not helpful to India, not helpful to the world, not helpful to combating terrorism in the world. So with all these bloomers, we are facing this wonderful candidate, and who has no other merit than he is banking on certain wrong ideas. On top of it, the internal situation. He is endorsing Black Lives Matter, which is not at all a moderate group. And then he is for defunding the police. And what he is really doing, he is instigating and stoking flames of racial tension and expecting to get benefited from it. And when there are more extremist groups are vocal, he is parroting them and saying less of policing is better, which means that next time the riots happen, there will be nobody to stop. And he is bringing the fire to the blacks. He is bringing the fire to the whites. And this is what he will, in the net, he will lose the world, lose America. He is a loser and a walking disaster.